The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hola y bienvenidos una vez más a Frankencast. Soy el científico loco Anthony Bowman. Mis pronouns son él, lo, y estoy acompañado como siempre por...
Estoy el periódico La Vida Nacional, que es Eric Velázquez. Mi pronombre es él. Hey, how did you like that introduction?
I think one of us sounded a little more confident than the other there, but that's all right.
That's because I'm full of shit.
So as we mentioned last week, this week we're doing Santo and Blue Demon versus Dr. Frankenstein, and we could not find a version of this with subtitles, so...
Nope. And we went in with my very limited Spanish vocabulary, and we did the best we could. So let's see if we got this right.
So the funny thing about that is... So like I had found it's on YouTube without subtitles, and like then I ended up buying it online and like from Amazon, thought it had subtitles and it came in and it didn't. So now I own it on DVD without subtitles. And then just this afternoon, I ended up figuring out that it is on Tubi as a dubbed English version. So it's still not subtitled. It's just been dubbed over. I did not get to watch it. But if you are interested in it and want to see it and know what's actually going on, that option is also available to you.
Yeah, and let us know how much we're going to get wrong here. Because we did not watch the Tubi version.
Yeah. And, after watching these couple, I really don't know why there's not really any good versions. Like, there are a few, you can find Santo DVDs of a couple of them, but in most cases in America, you can only get dubbed versions. Or, if you get lucky, you can find some that are subtitled online in some various places. I think I found one on YouTube and one on, like, archive.org or something of the ones we did. But, like, I feel like, considering how big a part of Mexican culture he is, that, like, people in America should be cursily aware of him to the point that, like, there should be a nice, like Severin or something like that does, like, big box sets of things. Like, I would love to get my hands on, like, a bunch of Santo movies.
Listen,
I could actually know what's happening.
Listen, I would like for them to actually make new Santo movies, okay? Let's just do that. Let's do that. I don't know.
Yeah,
not us, but...
Well, as we, somebody pointed out to us online, like, he makes a small cameo in Coco, the Pixar movie. Like, when they're in the afterlife, you get to see, like, Sugar Skull Afterlife Santo in one scene, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, like, I feel like they could definitely just, like, turn him into a superhero and just do an animated Santo series. Like, it would be amazing.
Let's be honest. Luchadores, they are superheroes. That's the whole point of the mask, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's true. Maybe we couldn't have Santo. Obviously, can't have Santo as Santo, but just a throwback. I don't know if anyone's willing to do that, but maybe. Hopefully, it would be nice.
Yeah. I did see. So like, if you look on IMDb, like even like Blue Demon, you see his like real name in the credits on IMDb, but Santo is just listed at, like, Santo is played by Santo. Yep. And like, I was actually, since I figured we probably wouldn't have as much info about this movie, I was kind of looking around and just like reading up on Santo because I was just curious. And like, he literally, when he would go through customs, like going from country to country, he would arrange like special rooms to be searched and everything so that like the general public and even like his entourage would never see him without a mask. And like after he had retired, there was like a talk show that he was on and like took off his mask and then ended up like dying like a month or two later. Like that was like he was just saying goodbye to the world and was like finally gonna let people see him just that one last time, which is just real. Like, you know, it's almost like sounds like something that would be in a novel. Like it doesn't even sound real that he was just like unmask and then die a little later, but it just it fits with the whole Santo persona. Like he just is larger than life.
Yeah, and that is really cool that he lived that for his fans and everyone else. So that's really cool.
Yeah, he just seems like the coolest. Like I just really want to like dig into Santo now. This little mini series we've done has made me a big fan.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so let's get into it then. So we start out and we've got a woman walking on a foggy street, and like you keep cutting to like a shot of like sort of shambling feet that seem to maybe be following her. And she keeps like kind of stopping and looking around, and then, you know, the feet stop.
Yeah, it gives you the impression that this is the monster kind of sneaking up on her, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, the feet are moving in a way that feels sort of like a zombie sort of. It's not quite dragging that much, but it doesn't feel like when you see the feet, it doesn't look like a person walking.
It's definitely shuffle.
Yeah, and then ultimately she's like, you know, she keeps stopping and looking around, and then he pops up right in front of her and grabs her. It's this big guy. So she thought he was following him, but he was in front of her the whole time.
He pulled a Jason.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So then we cut to a medical lab, and you've got two doctors and two female bodies on surgical slabs. They've got like IV drips going into them, but they're like, they've got it's like for brain surgery, so you can see like their heads are shaved, and they got like the kind of surgical cloth around the tops of their heads, so just the like top of their skulls are exposed.
Yeah, but this is also the fanciest like lab we've seen. We've got the full like brushed stainless steel panels along the wall. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is some Star Wars stuff, man. Like we're moving into the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, I mean, like behind them is like a huge like floor to ceiling, wall to wall, like mainframe type computer with just tons and tons of little blinking lights. And yeah, I mean, I wrote down this is some Star Trek shit at some point in my notes.
Yep. I would Star Wars, but yeah, I mean, they're not too far off, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely in that sort of gray area between the two for sure. Mm-hmm. And in fact, as they're getting ready for surgery, the machine like starts beeping and making noise, and like a piece of paper spits out onto a little tray, and like the one doctor hands it to the other, and he kind of looks over it, and then they start the surgery. Yeah. And you know, we'll ultimately find that the one performing the surgery is Dr. Frankenstein.
And his assistant is Dr. Molina.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to say that. It's not very important, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't catch it. I just wrote assistant the whole way through. But
right.
I was impressed with myself. I did catch some Spanish here and there and like translated where I was like, I know what they're saying right there.
I believe at this point they actually say, let's get to those brains. So
yeah, so then we cut away to this cop sitting behind a desk. The door says something about like homicide unit. I can't remember exactly, you know, what it says in Spanish, but you see homicide. So
Sección homicide. I forget exactly, but yeah, basically homicide section, as you said. We hear that two girls are missing.
Yeah, a man and a woman come in, and at first, like I thought they were a married couple, but I think you kind of ultimately figure out that like each one is a sibling to one of the missing girls that we just saw on the surgical slabs.
Well, actually, I think the guy is married to one of the girls.
Oh,
and
okay.
The other one is the sister.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, they each kind of give the cop a little like black and white photo of their missing woman, and he kind of like he sets them down on the table side by side, and then it cuts back to the surgery, so you can tell like, okay, that's them. Like they make it pretty clear these are these missing women.
Yeah.
And so when it cuts back to them, then the doctors like put these weird like they put like breathing apparatuses on their face, and they have a really serious conversation. You know, I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about, but I did hear they say something about like we need more help. You know, mas ayuda or something. You know, like they clearly something's not going right with their experiments.
Yeah, I think they actually said that one of the girls like they had fluid on their lungs, but that could have been completely off. I'll cop to that.
And it seems like the women, like you're not getting an it's alive moment here. Like whatever's going on, whatever surgery they've done, these women they're not up and about or appearing to be waking up or anything.
It seems like they're definitely a dead moment. I think they even mentioned the crematorio, or the basically where you are cremated.
Gotcha. But then, like, the confusing thing is, so after this, it cuts to these two women, you know, bald women, walking through the streets. It's all foggy, and they're, you know, shambling like zombies. And they end up breaking into their two family members' houses. So we see, like, you know, the sister from the homicide unit. She's, like, praying underneath the crucifix. And
right,
then,
she's
like,
praying for salvation and for her and her sister.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a knock at the door, and she opens it, and then there's, you know, zombie sister who just, like, chokes her out.
Yeah. I do love the touch. You're not my sister. No, you're not my sister.
And then basically the same thing happens with the man. The other, you know, zombie woman goes in and, you know, attacks him. Yeah. And then we get like a news report that presumably does some exposition about this. Like, you know, you see pictures of the missing women behind the anchor and stuff. So like, it's talking about what's going on.
I love that he says the assassin's satanic. The attack of the satanic assassin. I mean, that sounds like either a band or, you know, something. We didn't need to set something, the attack of the satanic assassin.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you'll see the word assassin a lot throughout this. A lot.
Yep.
And so this news report is being watched by Dr. Frankenstein and his henchmen. And he does, like, the most, like, just standard issue evil doctor laugh as he watches it.
Right.
Yeah,
but hey, he has to take a break from all this success he's seeing, and he has to watch a lucha match.
Yeah. Yep. So then he just, you know, watches a full Santo match that, you know, we get to watch as well, and then, you know, after the match is over, you know, Dr. Frankenstein said, you know, I need the brain of that man.
Right. That I'm so glad we both picked up on that. He's just like, I need that man's brain.
Yeah. And he kind of has a similar plan to in the last movie. Like, he has a photo of a woman who we find out is named Alicia, and she is Santo's current girlfriend.
Yep. He just goes through them. Like, how many girlfriends has Santo had? Come on.
Yeah, he's definitely like the, like, luchador James Bond, you know?
Right.
Like, every movie's got to have a Santo girl.
Hey, there you go, Santo girl. I like it. And, of course, we have Blue Demon and that Santo versus Brian Mendoza and Enrique Berra.
Yeah, so we got another good tag match, and we see Alicia there in the crowd. She's watching. So this is interesting, like, because I was just desperately trying to find a way to find subtitles. I was watching this on YouTube and on my DVD, or like had started them both, and my DVD was about 5 minutes shorter than the one on YouTube, which I was like, that's weird. Like, it seems like it'd be the other way around. But this match was cut down significantly on the DVD for some strange reason. So, like, the DVD starts with, like, midway through the second round. Right. But it's like a 3-round match, like, in the longer version. And it's like, I think Santo and Blue Demon win the first round, and then they lose the second round. And then the final round, they come back. And it's like, the second round is really, like, just fighting. Like, they're just, like, punching each other. And then, like, the second round gets to be where it's more like grappling and wrestling and like flips and stuff. So it's
By the way, can I sidetrack us real quick on this?
Yeah.
Speaking of this, why don't we have more wrestling matches like this? Like, they say 2 out of 3 falls, blah, blah, blah. But usually it's just one pin and it's over.
Yeah. I mean, especially, WWE. I mean, it's pretty much every match is like, the following is scheduled for 1 fall. So yeah, it's kind of neat to see a 3-fall match where like, you know, people get to kind of like rally and try again and stuff. It changes the dynamic significantly.
Yeah, I think that would be more exciting. Let's go back there. I know it'll take longer, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, more wrestling is better, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like, in the final round, Blue Demon gets the pin and wins the match, which is kind of, with this being a Santo movie, it's kind of interesting that they give him the win.
Right. I'll also note that in this one, like, they actually lose a couple rounds, like, or a round or so. You know?
Yeah, and it's not, like, the round that they lose is not, like, cheating. You know, in the past ones we've had Santo loses a round because the guy's got, like, the brass knuckles or whatever, but this is just, like...
fair.
You know, it seems mostly fair. They're punching a lot more, but, I mean, it's, you know, the ref's not trying to stop it, so presumably that's all legal like it is now. And, yeah, just... They just don't do well that second round. But so then after the match, Alicia follows Santo and Blue Demon back to the locker room. And they kind of have a long conversation that I didn't follow much. She says like Pobre Papa, like something about her poor father. Yeah. But I'm not sure what the father's connection is because there's an old man that I don't think is her father.
Nope.
I think is
Professor
like a
Luis.
professor.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like-
so I don't know what her father, the context there is, but yeah, we don't really get any more about the father after this.
Like, the characters will actually confuse him for her father. Like, several of the characters, especially the reporters, they're like, "Oh, your daughter, blah blah blah," and he's like, "Nope, that's not my daughter. Just my friend." Yeah. And it's like, "Oh, okay, cool, all right." Why did she mention her dad? Who knows?
Yeah. Someone who speaks Spanish better than us knows.
Yeah.
But not us.
Yep.
Yeah, so then after after them in the locker room, they're on a double date, which it's so just like cute for like
Yeah.
Santo and Blue Demon in their lucha masks and suits, like taking these two girls out on the town. It's just very, very sweet.
Yeah, go to a nice little sit-down restaurant,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they eat dinner and they're having a conversation, and then they like all in the Santo mobile. They go back. I guess the girls live together. They drop them off.
Can we talk about how Santo gets into his car? But he doesn't do it like a normal person because he's Santo. Okay? He opens up the passenger side door of this, drop top, and he just jumps into the front seat that way. Come on, how smooth is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so they like lead the girl, when they get to the house, they like lead the girls up to the porch, and they kind of like kiss them goodnight and leave. And then we cut to Dr. Frankenstein. He's back at his headquarters or whatever, and this is where I noticed the Star Trek. It's all like silver lined hallways. There's like doors that have like buttons to open them and stuff. And he opens this door, and there's a jail cell, and it's this big man that he calls the Colossus.
Right, but it looks like Truxon.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
And I might be wrong, but we don't really see this guy again.
Nope,
do we?
this is the first and last time we see him. He never comes up again. Why they showed him? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, because then like later there is another guy who is like the main sort of muscle of the movie.
Yeah, the Golem.
It seems like he should have been the one in this scene and just like gotten rid of that other guy. But whatever.
Well, we even saw the Golem in the kind of the opening scene. He was the one who kidnapped one of the girls.
Yeah. So it seemed like he's like the main, muscle, but
Yep.
yeah, he's just I don't know. Like I even wrote in my notes, presumably this guy will be used against Santo,
right?
But then he's not.
That would have been a great tag team. Colossus and the Golem versus Santo and Blue Demon. Come on.
Yeah.
These things write themselves, but nope, that's not what we get. Spoiler alert. Sorry about that.
So then we cut back to Santo's girlfriend, to Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
She is working with the professor, who is like this, sort of bearded, very professorial man, white hair, kind of bald.
Yep.
And they're, they're doing science together. They've got test tubes and they're mixing little colored chemicals together, and there's all kinds of little boiling beakers and everything. And they're talking about Santo a bunch. I think maybe about like her, he's inquiring about her relationship.
Yeah.
I think it was a little hard to Santo's name comes up a lot, and yeah, I think it's like whether or not she's actually his girlfriend, kind of.
Yeah, basically, how's it going with Santo? Are you all getting any closer? Stuff like that.
Yeah. So then we cut back to Dr. Frankenstein in the lab, and there's these two guys that show up, and at first, it took a while for me to figure out what was going on here. It's like these two guys in suits. I thought they were like maybe businessmen who were going to invest, or I was unclear.
Nope, they're in they're interested in the Frankenstein family secrets, basically. The old standby of let's make them young again.
Yeah, because there is a part where they ask him something, and they like that if he's the one who made the monster, and he says something about like, no, that was mi abuelo, my grandfather. So yeah, he ends up like he takes them for a long tour. He shows them a woman asleep in a glass case that he says was his wife.
Right, Sandra. Hey, you know what's really cool about Sandra? We never see her again.
Yeah, there's so many just like weird loose threads in this, and maybe they explain all of this in like expositional dialogue that we're missing, but I kind of doubt it.
Right. I feel like if you have a Chekhov's Colossus or a Chekhov's Sandra, you bring them in somewhere in the third act. You know what I'm saying? You don't just show them and then discard them. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah,
But
but here he does show them the golem, and mentions that he's controlled by like a small electrical transistor. So here's some. So like this, kind of really betrays my like little bit of space. So like they kept saying stuff about jóvenes, which like means like young boy, young. So like for a long time I kept being like, are there gonna be kids in this somewhere? And I guess maybe it might be like a conjugational type thing in that they were just talking about like making these two guys young again, and not like because or it's either that or else the chemical that they're using comes from like young boys that were like
we missed that. It's possible.
I'm not sure, but ultimately the end result is that, like you said, the reason that these two guys are here is they want to be young again. So
by the way, that liquid, did you pick up on the name of the liquid?
No.
Okay, so it turns out in the previous one we had factor X, right? That's what we were looking for. No, in this one we got factor beta. So I don't know if we went forward or backward several steps. Factor beta.
Okay. But so Dr. Frankenstein's assistant gives the two men the chemical to drink. They sit down, they have a drink, they like start de-aging and look at themselves in the mirror and get all excited.
With one guy, they basically just wipe off all the old person makeup in a slow transition, and with the other one, they just completely replace the actor.
So then we cut back to the professor and Alicia, and he kind of sends her home and like continues working. So she's walking home at night in the dark, keeps trying to call for a taxi. No one, the taxi drives past and doesn't get her.
Also, they have this weird barking on loop. It's literally just a loop of this dog barking. I'm sorry, I just could not notice it.
So, of course, you know where this is going. You got a woman walking home alone late at night and nobody protecting her.
Nothing bad could happen.
Right. So, she's followed by some henchmen. She runs. Then a car stops, and she like waves a car down. They stop. Right. She goes to jump in, and sure enough, inside is more of Dr. Frankenstein's henchmen.
I love how they set that up, by the way. She's like trying to hail the taxi real quick, and it just speeds by her, and then this next one comes by, and she's like, all right, I'm hopping in. And it's full of henchmen.
Yeah. She gets in fully and closes the door, but as they take off, she's kind of like banging on the windows, and police just happen to see her.
Well, she screams out, "Policia!" Ayuda.
Yeah. So they then we get a police chase. Ultimately, for whatever reason, the henchmen like drive the car into like a dead end alley, basically. So now they're stuck.
Oh, they're not stuck. They have something. They have something in their pocket.
Yeah.
They got a golem.
So like Dr. Frankenstein is talking to the golem over his little transmitter and says something about attack the police. So he gets out, and like the police just like riddle him with bullets, and it has no effect. He just keeps walking, and he kills all the police. I think he ends up killing most of them and knocking a couple unconscious or something.
He breaks all of their backs. He just picks each one in succession and just snaps their backs. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But of course, apparently he didn't just snap their backs. Apparently he dismembered them, because the newspaper says so. He dismembered 4 policemen. One survived for a few hours later, and basically that's why the newspaper knows what's happening. So they're like, we're going to cover our bases. One of these guys told the story, so we don't have the issue with the found footage where the who revealed the found footage, basically. No, this one cop actually survived and told them the story.
Yeah, and so then we cut back to, or we see that newspaper, then we cut to the professor. He is at the homicide office now, talking about Alicia, that she's gone missing.
Then we get 2 new reporters. One's Carmelita, and what was the other one's name? I didn't pick up on her name.
Yeah, I didn't catch it either. And so are they reporters or are they detectives? I could not quite figure that out.
Yes. No. They're writers, so they're definitely reporters. He goes,
okay.
That's going to be it. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, but they seem to be sort of working in conjunction with the homicide detective that that's been just behind the desk this whole time. Yeah. So they kind of ask some questions. They talk to the professor a little bit. And he mentions Santo and Blue Demon, presumably telling them that, Alicia was dating Santo and was friends with Blue Demon. And I think he even maybe sort of hypothesizes that she might be kidnapped because she is like bait to try to trap Santo.
Yeah, he's basically like, hey, this is the story. This is what's happening. Yeah.
And so then we cut to Blue Demon on a phone call where, like, presumably this detective is telling him what's going on. So we cut to him and Santo showing up at the homicide office. Yeah. And the detective's like, Alicia was kidnapped and, we don't know what's going on. And I think it's like basically Santo's like, well, we're on the case now. You can step back. We're going to take care of this.
Exactly. We got this, boys. Don't worry about it. Santo and the Blue Demon are on their way.
Yeah.
But I believe we also cut to Frankenstein, or Irving Frankenstein, as the IMDb calls him, where I literally think he calls the reporters a cup of skirts. Coupa de faldas, I think he actually says. I could have gotten that wrong, and I'm like, that almost sounds like it's a joke. Like a couple of skirts, but that would only work in English. I don't know.
But yeah, so he's upset about that they're on, but then there is something where it says, like, there's a case of 12 jóvenes assassinated. So, like, this is, again, where, like, I don't know if this is that there were, like, because when you get to plural things, like, maybe this just means 12 young people, and this could be, like, the women and among other things, or if this is, again, something to do with that young potion, or, factor beta, as you said.
Yeah. I think in this case it was just 12 young people who have been murdered. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so then we see Santo and Blue Demon. They go and visit the professor and talk to him a little bit, just, I guess, to get more of, like, when he last saw Alicia and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then Santo and Blue Demon take the reporters home. And, like, before they leave, they, like, notice that the henchmen are, like, creeping around outside the house. And so they're like,
oh, we better circle around. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
they do it the best way possible. Holy shit. Like, they don't like sneak around and like going through the window like normal people. No, this is Santo and the Blue fucking Demon. They're going through that window like bosses. They just like do the SWAT team swing into that room through that window. Just destroy these girls' windows.
Yeah, they just like smash in there, and then they're like, then they tell them like, shh. We think that it's like, you just fucking broke through.
You're right. You just made all the noise possible. But no. We got to be quiet, man. But apparently the henchmen didn't notice because they're sneaking in all quiet like.
Yeah. So yeah, they come in, and then there's a big fight. Santo and Blue Demon taking out a bunch of the henchmen, and the women are kind of like hiding in a corner watching.
Right.
And they kind of seem like they're enjoying watching a little bit.
Right. Well, when the actual like full like fight really breaks out, the one named Carmelita, she actually, like, if you pause it, you notice the actress is actually balling her fist like she's getting ready to punch. So she's ready to throw down, but I think the director was like, no, you're a bystander, step back.
But yeah, so then one of the, like, while the fight's going on, one of the guys breaks a window and like yells out the window to the golem. But by the time he gets up there, everybody's on, Santo and Blue Demon have knocked everybody out, and they've kind of like moved in. Now they're hiding in a corner with the reporters.
Yeah, they don't know what this golem's all about.
Yeah, so they're just kind of like, keeping an eye on him, and he just kind of walks around, surveys the damage, smashes some stuff in anger.
I love how he does the bar bending thing with a visible, a definitely plastic bar.
Yeah,
but hey, that's part of the fun. But he's also a kind golem in that he wakes his fellows up with a slap to the face. Like, get up, what?
Yeah, so he like kind of leads them all back out to the car, and of course Santo and Blue Demon kind of sneakily follow along while the female reporters stay home.
Yeah.
But like they're not sneaky enough in their following. Like,
no.
Pretty quickly the henchmen realize they're being followed, and they just shoot out one of Santo's tires and drive away.
One of the guys just whips out an AK and just starts blasting at the tires.
Yeah.
As opposed to actually, I guess he was trying to make sure he didn't hit Santo, but because that brain's valuable and all.
Yeah.
But I do like how nonplussed Santo and the Blue Demon are as they're like trying to investigate the tires. They're like, well, I guess they just shot it up. Oh, well.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of shrug it off.
Yeah, that's just normal,
For them,
workplace
probably.
hazard for them.
Yeah, for them probably is.
So then we go to a scene with Dr. Frankenstein in the lab. He's like talking to some of his cohorts, and I have no idea what this scene is about. They just talk for a little bit. There's not really much. It's just them talking. There's no like props or anything to indicate what's going on.
Well, pretty much he just gives them a dressing down for not getting Santo in his brain.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense contextually. That would be the right scene to follow that.
Right.
And so then we cut back to Santo and Blue Demon. They're, in the locker room. They've got another tag match. So they go out. The reporters are in the audience, and we get like a really long match. And at some point during the match, the professor shows up, kind of walks through the crowd, and he has a letter that he hands to the reporters. And there's at certain points of this match that it seems like this time the opponents are cheating again.
Yeah.
There's just kind of some little bit of sketchy stuff that like there's a lot of like tag matches. One person of each tag team is in and one is out, and you tag them in. That's how it works. But these guys both get in the ring at the same time pretty frequently every time the ref's not looking, and kind of gang up on either Santo or Blue Demon, whichever one's in the ring at that time.
Yeah, it's not so much of a tag match as it is just a 2-person brawl or 4-person brawl.
Yeah, and ultimately, Santo and Blue Demon still managed to win because it's Santo and Blue Demon.
Mm-hmm. But what do you think's on that note that they were so ready to receive? They were so excited to get it.
So I think it was like a ransom note from Dr. Frankenstein about Alicia, right?
Yeah, basically. That's pretty much what it was. It was like, hey, Santo, come to this location if you want to see Alicia again.
Yeah. So yeah, like as soon as the match is over, the reporters like take it to Santo and Blue Demon and they read it, and then they take it to the homicide office and show the detective there, so he knows what's going on. And then we get a scene that's just like Santo and Blue Demon putting on really big fancy watches. Yeah, well, I guess they're like synchronized watches kind of thing.
Well, these are special watches because we'll learn what they do in a bit. But yeah, they definitely have to put on these really nice like Rolex looking watches.
Oh yeah. And so then Santo goes to Dr. Frankenstein's lab, according to the note. I guess the note said like, come alone, how these ransom notes usually are. Yeah, so Blue Demon's not there.
Well, he sends when Santo goes out, he sends his henchmen to kind of pick him up and take him to the special location,
Yeah. So that he's kind of led into the office, and they bring in Alicia, and of course, as soon as Alicia shows up,
Santo ain't dealing with this shit. He just goes into full out rage mode. Attacks everybody.
Yeah, he's holding his own against a bunch of henchmen until the golem shows up.
Ah, that golem.
Yeah, and then I think they're basically like, if you don't stop, the golem is going to kill Alicia. Yeah. So at this point we see Blue Demon. He's on a solo date with his girl from earlier, and then his watch starts beeping.
And immediately he's like, whoa, oh, I know what this is all about. Honey, I'll talk to you later. I've got to go save Santo now.
Yeah, I think he like tosses some money on the table and rushes out.
Yeah.
So then we see Santo at the lab. He is on like a surgical slab. So, obviously this is where, Dr. Frankenstein is working he's going to remove the brain.
Mm-hmm. But as Blue Demon gets a little bit closer, we also see that we basically hear his watch start beeping and going off the closer he gets to Santo. So we get the hot and cold.
Yeah, so it's like a homing beacon kind of transmitter deal going on. Mm-hmm. So he gets into the lab and is kind of sneaking around. He's wandering the halls.
Anthony, real quick, do you like theremin music? Because you're going to be hearing a lot of it. Holy crap. I never thought I would get tired of theremin music, but man, this one pushed my limit.
Yeah, I mean, you've got all the silver walls. It's very sci-fi, so of course we got to have some good theremin music.
I'm telling you.
So as Blue Demon explores, he sees the golem, who is like dormant, sort of. He's just like sitting frozen, I guess because he's not being commanded with the transmitter.
Right.
And then he peeks around a corner and sees that like Santo is about to, this surgery is about to happen. Mm-hmm. But lucky for him, one of the surgeons, one of the guys working, walks away and like goes down a hallway.
Yeah, Dr. Molina sends him to get the actual anesthetic so he could put Santo out.
Yeah, and that works out perfectly. So Blue Demon sneaks up on him, and we don't really see it. It's like he leaves the screen, and then Blue Demon comes back carrying this big like anesthetic
dressed
canister.
as the assistant with like a surgical mask over his face. It's a pretty good gag.
Yeah, he's got the surgical bonnet and like the face mask, so like you can still see a little bit of his lucha mask around the eyes, but like he does a pretty good job of covering it.
I guess.
And so, yeah, he strolls into the surgical area and just, like, turns the valve on the anesthetic and just starts, like, spraying it at everybody.
Melina's like, hey, you're not my assistant. And Beatty's like, knockout gas.
So, yeah, everybody falls unconscious.
Except for Blue Demon and Santo.
Yeah. So, yeah, Santo's now free, and they end up, like, fully making sure all the henchmen are knocked out and start exploring the area looking for Alicia.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Anthony, did you also know that I was in this movie? I sure as hell didn't, because I swear one of the guys that Dr. Frankenstein's talking to in this next scene looks like could be my doppelganger. And I was like, oh, shit.
I missed that, but I'm definitely going to go back.
You should go back and look. Yeah. I was like, oh, no.
The funny little detail I noticed in this scene is that in Dr. Frankenstein's sort of like office area, he has two pieces of framed artwork behind him, and they're just pictures of lightning.
Yeah. I mean,
because of course Frankenstein's just gotta have pictures of lightning, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was his great-great-grandmother, or at least one of his abuelo's creations grandmothers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That works.
Then we see Dr. Frankenstein and his henchmen talking in this office. Dr. Frankenstein leaves, and then Blue Demon and Santo end up finding this same room
and just
where
beat
the henchmen
the living
still are.
Shit out of each and every henchman in that room.
Yeah. They're just knocking them out left and right, smashing all the computers, doing all the good stuff. Meanwhile, it's basically somehow Santo and Blue Demon and Dr. Frankenstein kind of switch places without running into each other. Because now Dr. Frankenstein is at the surgical area and finds everybody knocked out. He wakes one of them up and like kind of asks him for info. He's like, it was, Blue Demon, kind of like tells him what happened. So of course he gets out his little golem transmitter, but you don't see what happens. He just like gets it out, and then we cut back to Santo and Blue Demon, who have now found Alicia.
Yeah. And by the way, they actually take the time to tie up each and every henchman as well, which I appreciate that detail,
Yeah, I mean, that's smart, like they're going to wake up in a few minutes, and you don't know how long it's going to take for you to find Alicia, so.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wonder, like, what happened to Professor Luis? Where's he?
Yeah, so this part threw me off. Like, so they do find Alicia, they start kind of looking for a way out, and then we just see the professor in like a chemistry lab.
When did he get abducted?
Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure if like he was at Dr. Frankenstein's lab, or if like we cut away and they're back at his lab now and they just had gotten out. I was definitely thrown off in this moment.
Right.
But we ultimately end up, next we see like a news report, and Dr. Frankenstein is being talked about on TV.
Yeah, they basically locked up all of his henchmen at this point, except for those, the henchman number one, as I call them, and
Yeah, so obviously Dr. Frankenstein is not happy that he's been like outed on TV. So ultimately, whether the professor was at Frankenstein's or at his own lab, ultimately Santo and Blue Demon and Alicia and the professor have all gotten away and told the authorities what has happened. That's why the news reporters know what's going on.
Yeah.
So obviously Frankenstein is like, this is Santo and Blue Demon's fault, and I'm going to get my revenge.
And he knows just how to do it.
A lot about, so this movie, I actually was looking, and so the first movie we watched where we were like, the tone was totally different, was a different director, but Daughter of Frankenstein and Dr. Frankenstein was the same guy, and the storyline is pretty similar in these two movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, we're going to do the thing where we use one of the monsters as a wrestler and challenge Santo to a match.
No. This is Mortis. He's a totally different guy than the Golem. Totally different.
Yeah.
He's wearing a mask.
So,
he's totally different.
Yeah, you got him in a lucha mask, but it's still like, a 7-foot-tall black man, which is probably not the most common sight in, Mexico. And I love, so Dr. Frankenstein in this has a mustache.
Yeah.
And Dr. Frankenstein is there as like the promoter of Mortis the wrestler, and he's wearing a lucha mask that has a little lucha mustache sewn onto the...
I do love how he has this like dainty little handkerchief he keeps bringing up to his face that's clearly hiding the radio that he's using to communicate to the Golem.
Yeah. So we get like Santo talking to some reporters about the match coming up, and we see this a lot even now, where like we get a scene of the wrestler signing the contract, agreeing to the terms of the match. Yeah. Now it's like when the big matches are coming, like, oh, in WrestleMania we're gonna fight for the championship, so we have to actually sign a contract.
Right.
So yeah, Mortis signs, Mortis XO, and Santo signs. So
I do like that him and Blue Demon like take a little aside and they're like, that's the Golem, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I know that's the Golem. It's pretty obvious.
And I really like so Blue Demon is not fighting in this match.
Nope.
This is a singles match, but he's obviously there supporting his friend. But he's not like in full wrestling gear. He's wearing his Blue Demon mask and just like this nice little red striped polo shirt.
Yeah. As you do.
Yeah. But so as the match starts going, of course, like the Golem is the Golem, so he's kind of dominating a little bit to start with. But Blue Demon happens to see one of Dr. Frankenstein's henchmen
numero uno.
Yeah.
By the way, this guy has no chill. Like, as soon as he notices that Blue Demon's watching him, he immediately bugs out. It's like, way to give away the plot, dude. Come on. Just stay in your seat and act like nothing's happening. What are you doing?
So of course Blue Demon like pursues, finds him, and he like twists his arm behind his back and is basically like, tell me everything or I'm breaking this arm. And he ultimately does. He's like, yep, it is the Golem, and Frankenstein is here with his transmitter. So Blue Demon like leads the henchman back and like hands him to a security guard and is like, arrest this guy.
Right. And then Doc, of course, has the same reaction, seeing that his henchman has been apprehended. He's like, oh, crap. And then he's like, all right, Gollum, we got to finish this. Try to choke Santo to death, and then let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, so he rushes out, and Blue Demon follows him and starts fighting him in the hallway. So, of course, Dr. Frankenstein does not have the muscle to face off against Blue Demon alone, so he calls through the transmitter for the Golem to come help him, leaving Santo kind of choked out in the ring, but he comes to pretty quick and ends up following. So now we've got Frankenstein and the Golem kind of in retreat mode as Blue Demon and Santo chase them. They end up like running up like, I don't know where they are. Are they like outside at this point?
No, they get up on the scaffolding.
Oh, okay. Because it's like these wooden stairs that look like rickety as hell.
Yeah.
And they get up onto like a catwalk kind of area.
Yeah, it's like old theater scaffolding, like not even full metal. Yeah,
it reminded me of like a fire escape, but it was like made of wood instead of like what you see on a normal building. But it ends, the end result is they're up really high, fighting on a very narrow little walkway, and Blue Demon and Santo sort of like at the same time manage to knock their opponents over the railing.
Yeah, they do the wrestling roll, like the rollback whenever the bad guys charge them. Both.
Yeah.
And we get the Golem falling off first, and then quickly followed by Frankenstein. And what happens when bodies fall from a great height?
They turn into dummies and then awkwardly hit the ground.
That's right. We all know this is a fact of life. But, yep, it turns out that drop is enough to end the life of Irving Frankenstein and the Golem.
And so you've got Frankenstein, and as soon as he's like dying, he starts aging rapidly, kind of similar to what we saw in the last movie. They've been using this youth serum. And upon death it fails, and he starts shriveling up, and that for some reason that seems to really upset Alicia.
Right.
Like she sees it happening
old.
And just like
he didn't even turn into a skeleton, he just got really old.
And she like starts crying and like turns away, kind of puts her face up against Santo's chest so she doesn't have to see what's happening. And then we get the big fin, the
right
end.
Abrupt ending, boom.
So yeah, I mean, I do feel like this one, it may have been a little harder to follow if we hadn't watched another movie right before it that seemed to follow basically the same plot in a lot of ways.
Well, it also mirrors the first one as well, right? The versus the monsters. So
yeah, I think the second one that we watched and this one, because they were the same director, they definitely feel more of a piece than the first one, which makes me curious to sort of like dig into like all the, because tons of different directors directed Santo movies over the years,
right?
I'm curious to see just like how each partnership sort of is, how it's portrayed in different ones,
right? So like, yeah, how many movies have there been totally? 53 Santo movies?
Yes, something like that, and I think. That's like Santo movies, and then I think there are a lot of other movies where he like made cameos and like brief appearances. Like I think he's in like 60 or 70 movies total. Like
good grief, that's ridiculous.
There were a couple. I think there was like 1 year that I looked that he was in like 8 movies in 1 year.
Yeah,
like 73 or 74, something like that. But like, yeah, he was prolific, and he's wrestling during all this too.
Right,
like, he's actually, an active wrestler throughout this whole period, doing like, his territory wrestling and, being on the televised stuff. So like this dude stayed busy.
Yeah. Good for him though, Be in a bunch of movies, do a bunch of wrestling matches. Come on. What more could you ask
I mean, he definitely earned his status as like a Mexican icon. Like there's statues of Santo and it's, he earned it. Like he worked hard to get that.
Yeah. Yep. And he deserved every bit of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so what we're saying is go watch more Santo movies, and if we can convince someone to make them, we want more new Santo movies, if at
absolutely.
All possible.
And I did see, when I found the one today, that Tubi looks like it has like 10 or 11 of them. I think they're all dubbed. I generally avoid live action dub when I can, but with these Santo movies being such a rarity, I'm gonna, wherever I can find them and in whatever ways, I'm definitely gonna check out more of these because I've definitely become a fan.
So can we talk about just how good this movie is? Like, not horrific. I mean, there are horror elements, sure, but it's a pretty good movie. Like, there was a lot of tension. There was a lot of excitement. I mean, of course, it's, 1974 sci-fi, but it's still, like, kind of a big budget feature.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, Dr. Frankenstein's whole, like, laboratory lair area, I mean, it looks great. Mm-hmm. The previous 2 movies we talked about, like the villainous lair was just like one cavern set that they just like used over and over again.
Yeah.
But like there's some good set work here, is some interesting stuff. And like, it leans more into like the luchador aspect. Like Dr. Frankenstein is basically just like an evil scientist. We don't have the Gollum character, like obviously Gollum being like a Frankenstein type creature from like mythology, the reference there, but like he's not doing the normal Frankenstein stuff for the most part. Like he's just an evil scientist who's out to get Santo. And I mean, it's fun. Like the James Bond comparison that I think is pretty apt. Like it feels like that, where it's just like episodic, Santo runs into people who either have a vendetta against him or are doing things that he needs to stop.
Right. Or want something of his, namely his blood or brain.
Yeah. And, I think it's interesting, this little experiment we did of watching this without subtitles. Like if you go back and like watch silent movies, like I just actually was watching the original Nosferatu. They just did it on the last drive-in. And the thing about silent movies is if they're done well, they don't need many title cards because you can just follow what's going on by the acting and the direction and the way that one scene carries into the next, and it just tells a logical story. And this movie had dialogue. We didn't understand most of it, but it was there. But the story was told so effectively that we didn't even need it for the most part.
Right.
We were able to follow what was going on just by the way the actors were moving and the way that one scene led into the next, like in a logical fashion. And I mean, I think that really speaks to the talent of the writers and the director of this movie, and keeping things moving and flowing logically. And I mean, like that, that's, I don't think that every movie is that way. Like if you muted a lot of movies and tried to watch them, you would get lost.
Right.
But this is not the case with this one.
Yeah. I even think the other 2, if you muted them or at least took out the subtitles, it would be kind of hard to follow.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think this one, yeah, I mean, it was, and I'm sure there are some things that we missed. I'm certain there are some little bit, like, we don't know the thing about, like, the poor father.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was something there, but for the most part, yeah, I think we were able to keep up pretty well, and I don't think that that's because we're, like, you know, film critic geniuses. I think that's a testament to the movie.
Definitely not fluent in the language as well. Well, you know, I mean, the only thing I have to ask then is whatever happened to the Colossus and Santo?
They lived happily ever after together.
Oh, well, there you go. That's nice. I like that ending. That's the one we're going with. All right. Well, if you understood what was happening, maybe you could tell us what happened to Sandra and the Colossus, if anything.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, hit us up on our socials or, you know, at the Frankencast on Twitter and Instagram, or send us an email, thefrankencast@gmail.com, and tell us all the things we missed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All interaction is good interaction, and we must appease the AI overlords.
So next week, I've got a fun little sort of epilogue to the Santo movies, which is this really kind of terrible but fun movie that I found probably 10 years ago called Monster Brawl, which is kind of like the original Mortal Kombat movie. Like, we have to fight to save, you know,
world.
existence in the multiverse or whatever, but instead of it being like fighting in the like the hell realm, it's monsters that have to wrestle each other.
Yeah, makes sense.
Featuring Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South, as one of the like commentators. So you got some real like actual wrestling people involved in the movie, but it's just I don't want to give too much away, but it's a silly, messy movie with just a lot of wrestling and a lot of monsters. And I'm very excited to watch it again and see what you think about it.
This is gonna be good. If we got Dave Foley and I'm trying to remember the giant. He was part of that freak show thing with ICP. Anyway, the point is, I'm really excited to watch this.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a nice way to look at, like, so we've seen these really competent Mexican movies looking at combining monsters and wrestling, and now let's see what America does with that formula.
Especially America in 2011.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's probably a reason why this is 3.5 on IMDb out of 10.
Yep.
Oh well, let's do it. All right,
it's gonna be great.
Well, in that case, one final continuata.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.
All right, let me make sure I'm recording. Good deal. 3, 2, 1. Let's jam.
Okay, I'm gonna try something kind of dumb here. We'll see if this works.
All right.